Good morning to everyone. Well, hin- I won't start with the definition of the disinformation, no? The disinformation because Mamelen has already uh, said that a while ago. Um, but I want to emphasize on the fact that the fight against disinformation is like my travel from Baguio to Manila during an Easter Sunday. Uh, it took me 12 hours to travel for a 6 hour trip. So, ganun kagrabe yung traffic, no? Kaya hindi totoong nare-resolve na ang traffic problem. Um, I'm here actually to share particular experience of Northern Dispatch on the issue of red tagging. Red tagging, and some call it political vilification. Vera Files published two articles, I think February and October, discussing the issue of red tagging, calling it the most vicious form of disinformation. And October, it released an article on an explainer why is it very dangerous, a very dangerous issue at the moment. Paki-forward. Anybody among you who watched the post? Yes. So it's the disinformation campaign of the United States during the Vietnam War. So about how the post exposed the uh, manipulation of data to justify the war. The disinformation campaign, at the moment, based on the experience of Nordis reporting the different issues in Northern Luzon. By the way, Northern Dispatch is a community paper based in Baguio, covering the three regions, the Cordillera, Ilocos, and Cagayan provinces. No? The main content of the disinformation campaign is first to confuse the public on the merits of the issues. For example, on programs of the government, the most recent controversial issue or project is the Chico Pump Irrigation Project. No? They have presented, for example, the government had presented that all the requirements has been given, it's complete, and yet people on the ground are complaining that there was no free, prior, and informed consent, no, in Kalinga. That's a prerequisite for a project to proceed in part of ancestral land of the indigenous people. Second is to convince them and make whatever actions acceptable. So this objective comes in red tagging or political vilification. And the third is to make individuals to be threatened or to try to silence individual critics, especially those who are actively engaged in media work. I want to introduce to you a researcher, writer, and activist who experienced this. No? He works for an independent institution as a researcher, and he writes articles for Northern Dispatch based on his researches on the field. So most of his life, for 16 years of his life, he worked in the field as a researcher and as a journalist writing for the community paper. He is also an environmental activist, specifically an advocate against destructive mining in Northern Luzon. Yes, and that guy is me. Yeah. No. How did red tagging came about in my life? No? Did it enter my life? First came information discrediting the researches, and then came the surveillance, then came the death threats. In 2017, I was arrested I was arrested for rebellion case that was filed 2000 in 2013, and yet I did not receive any subpoena. I was not informed of any charges. No. When the rebellion charges did not prosper, I was again included in the list of 600 plus individuals branded by the Duterte administration as terrorists. No. And when it again did not prosper, just recently the DOJ was forced to amend the charges and our names were dropped. They have again included my name together with other individuals in Northern Luzon in what they call a PNP watch list. No? Ordering all regional offices to submit an updated profile of the targets. The term was targets. So, forward. So what is red tagging? No? It is defined as an act of state actors, particularly law enforcement agencies, to publicly brand individuals, groups, or institutions as an affiliate to communist or leftist terrorists. But red tagging goes beyond this. When we say it goes beyond being branded, because the purpose is to put you out of the protection of the law and make any actions against you acceptable to the public. The National Union of Journalists in the Philippines, to which I also belong, has just been called a communist front recently. And after this, our regional chapters have received threats, attacks. Our individual members have been subject to harassments. In fact, one of our columnists, also one of the peace consultant in Northern Luzon, was murdered just recently. No? It's Randy Felix Malayaw, a peace consultant from Northern Luzon. He's a columnist of Northern Dispatch. We offered him to write for the paper because we believe that it is the public's right to know what is happening in the peace process. So his column was dedicated for that matter. Now, how does red tagging affect democracy? In our experience, especially me, my previous work as a field researcher and reporter for Northern Dispatch has been affected. I can no longer work on field. I rarely go to Ilocos now because every time I go to my home province, I experience harassment, experience surveillance. No? So the function of those truth tellers, of journalists, are also affected. Now, this is not limited my case, no? It's actually a concrete policy now of the administration, no? Branding critics, branding organizations, institutions as being communist fronts or terrorist fronts once they say something against the policies and programs of the government. And this is not the first time. We also experienced this during the period of Gloria Arroyo, in which a report by Philip Alston of the United Nations identified that red tagging or political vilification is in fact a state policy because most of those who have been killed, human rights, trade unionists, peasant leaders, journalists, experienced first vilification before they were killed or they were charged with false accusations by the government. So the problem now is they have not only made our lives miserable with disinformation, they have weaponized it to actually put our lives in danger. No? And in Baguio, Rappler popularized the hashtag uh, hold the line. No? In Baguio, we added some more. No? Because if we hold the line, we should also push back. And after we push back, we should also move forward. Good morning.